All right, we're live. Kick us off, Dave.
Welcome to the Tooele Happy Hour with Jared Anderson and David Weiss. Today's guest, Kirk, you want to introduce?
Kirk Pearson, candidate for State House District 29. And
which party are you in?
I'm in the Constitution Party.
That is cool.
Yeah.
It's different from the two mainstream parties that are out there, and I think people are looking for something different and want to change and want to see if there's something better out there.
Well, welcome to the show, Kirk. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about the Constitution Party.
So the Constitution Party has been around for about 25 years. Started by Howard Phillips back when Bush's got the nomination for presidency, and the Bush family was kind of known as having a lot of corruption in it. And Howard Phillips started the Constitution Caucus in the United States House of Congress, and he decided that when that happened that he needed to go somewhere else, and so he got the party started, and so it's growing pretty rapidly. And in Utah right now, we do have several elected offices in kind of county offices. In fact, Duchesne County, their whole council is Constitution Party members. And we have some school board members and some other county leaders elected. And so now we're ready to move on to the state offices.
Wow, so Duchesne is almost completely Constitution Party.
Yeah, the chairman's Constitution Party, and I think there's 5 members of the board, that are all Constitution Party members.
That's pretty cool. I never knew that.
Yeah.
So it sounds like the Constitution Party is born out of disaffected Republicans. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I would say so.
Has there been many converts to the Constitution Party from the Democrat Party?
Yeah, there have been lately, as of late, there's a lot of the, I guess you'd say, the old school Democrats that are realizing the party has just jumped ship on them. And
so like old blue dogs that can't bear to go Republican. Yeah. They just, so they're like, all right, maybe the Constitution Party will get old, what's her name from Hawaii? Dang it. Why am I forgetting her name now?
Tulsi.
Yeah. Tulsi.
Yeah.
That'd be a treat.
Well, she left the Democrat Party last week. So yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, but it's mostly Republicans, libertarians, and just independent minded people.
Okay. All right. So tell us about your run. Give us kind of a foreboding warning of what you plan on doing if you're successful.
Okay, so I've been involved in the political process for probably 25 years. And I started out as a Republican delegate, did that for 16 years. I saw a lot of corruption in the Republican Party, and we can go into more detail, I guess, if we need to on that, but I just needed to find another solution, and was introduced to the Constitution Party, really liked everything they stood for, started attending some of their meetings, and just became really involved in that. But I've always stayed involved at the state level, and I go to the Capitol every year during the legislative session as often as I can, meet with our representatives. I speak on a lot of committees. I'm kind of known up there now. The Small Business Association had me speak in committee this last session with the mask mandates and the vaccine mandates. And as business owners, we don't want to be our employees' physicians. And, to require my employees to get some sort of medication or treatment, and if that goes bad, then am I liable? That's something that needs to be handled by a doctor and their patient. And and to bring employers into
It's kind of a radical statement right now.
Yes, it is, but it's crazy. And so we did get that bill passed, but I spoke on that. One of the things I've really learned too, being up there at the Capitol, a lot of politicians do political talk, and I've learned this, I guess, over the years, just in speaking as delegate and interviewing candidates and asking them questions. If you ask a candidate a question, like if you say, "Are you for the Second Amendment?" the candidate is probably going to tell you yes, because they realize that you are asking that question because you're in favor of the Second Amendment. So you've got to ask the question in a way that the candidate doesn't know if you're for or against it. And but on this, when we were trying to pass this bill to make sure that employers didn't have to mandate health care for their employees, there was one representative on the committee that he acted like he was in favor, and he kept saying, I really like the bill. I like everything about the bill, but I just don't think it's quite right, and I don't want to send it onto the floor and have it rejected if we don't have everything right. And we'd already been in committee for probably a half hour and gone through every concern that he had and everyone else had, answered all those concerns, and he kept saying, I just don't think it's ready to go on. And he knew that if that bill didn't get out of committee, there was only 10 days left in the session. He knew that bill would not make it back that last year. And so he sounded like, "Oh, I really love this bill. I really want to do." But soon as he started speaking and saying, "I think we just need to send it back and review it a little more," I automatically knew the process. I knew what he was trying to do. I knew he was trying to kill the bill. And so
he was trying to, forgive me, it sounds like he was trying to kill it without saying he was killing it. He wanted to ride both sides of the fence.
Yeah.
Just really rest his taint on the midsection of the fence and ride it out, because he can say he's for it and gain one side and slow it down and not hurt the other side and not have to present a vote. Okay.
Yeah.
Do we get a name to that politician?
Wow. I don't remember his name, but I should. I would know it if I seen him.
You'll know his face, right?
He is.
You can point him out to us.
He wasn't a county officer. He was a state officer.
No, he was a state representative.
Okay. Kind of sounds like, not to bash anyone, but like what McKay was doing in that, what was it? House Bill 60 vote, where he seemed like any excuse to stop that hearing.
I'd love to be able to say the name McKay and associate something negative to it, because I don't want to see him win, even though he's running unattested. Maybe next time someone will run against him, and if we continue to spew out negative propaganda towards him, someone will pick up on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what it seems like he was doing. Maybe I don't know enough, and let's face it, I guarantee I don't know enough on many things, but that's what it feels like he was doing there. But anyways, sorry I interrupted you.
No, that's good. But just in being there and being present and seeing how they operate, you get to know who is really on your side and who isn't, and you understand the process and how to build your coalition, I guess, around those things. So, but anyway, that bill, it passed out of committee 6-5. So it was, just with one vote that we got it passed, but we got it passed, and then it went to the floor and we passed it there. So that's some of the things. Another bill that I helped work on was Kira Birkeland from Morgan put a bill out to protect girls' sports, so the boys can't play in girls' sports. And you think that would be a no-brainer, easy thing to pass in a Republican state of Utah. But we fought hard to get that passed, and it was interesting because Governor Cox said that he would veto the bill if it passed, because the transgender community, is suicidal. They have a lot of problems. We need to love them, have compassion for them. And this was a hateful bill against them. The leadership of the Republican Party said they were against the bill because if they passed this bill, we would lose a lot of the big events and things that come to Utah, that they wouldn't come to Utah. And both of those things have no ground on right or wrong. If it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong. One of my best friends that I ski with every year, his daughter just took the gold medal in her division this year in the United States. And she started skiing when she was 2 years old. From 2 to about 12, they were in co-ed teams. She competed with boys and girls. When she was younger, she took first and second place almost every race. Just kind of a natural, really gifted, and really works hard at skiing. And then when they get 12, they separate them boys to girls. And so she's been competing and taking first, second place in almost every race. And this year she took the gold medal in her division. But if she was to ski now with the gold medal in her division, if she was to ski with the worst place boys that she used to beat as a little kid, there's no way she can compete against them. They're bigger, they're stronger, they have bigger lung capacity, and
they're faster.
You're going to kill girls' sports.
Well, look at the Serena sisters. Is it Serena?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the tennis girls.
Yeah.
Where they put this to the test before this became a big argument, and they said, we'll challenge any male that's professional, but that's not in the top 200. So the guy that stepped up to the plate, it's tennis. I don't know his name. I'm sorry. Anyways, he was like 218, and he beat him handily. And then they went on and talked about it. They said, one, I don't like playing against guys because it's not fun anymore. It's so much faster, so much more aggressive, harder hitting, everything. And these girls, they do that scream when they hit the tennis ball and all that stuff. But outside of the top 200, they're arguably within the top 10 in the world in the female.
Yeah.
And they can't win outside of the top 200.
Yeah.
So,
well, let me put my spin on this, and it's probably not going to be something most people want to hear, but
let's go, Dave.
I'm glad that all these trannies are able to enter into the sports on whichever gender side they decide to participate on, because my tax dollars go to paying for those sports. And I am much more interested in my kids actually learning in school rather than using my money to play with their balls and helmets and wear Speedos and run down the field. I mean, if we privatized sports, which I think is a free market idea, call me wrong, call me crazy, call me what you will. But I just feel like when we made this social contract to educate our children, they didn't mean, hey, David, pay for my soccer stadium, pay for my football stadium, pay the good point. Football insurance. So as I watch it burn, I light a cigar and toast with my brandy and say, should have privatized it.
Should have privatized it, yeah.
That's definitely a good point. Honestly, I think we would be better off if they pulled school sports into county and city recreational activities that were held by the county and the city, and it could operate on a for-profit system.
And girl sports, would they exist if we privatized it?
Oh, there are girl sports. One, if I'm going to watch tennis, I prefer watching girls tennis because I can, chauvinistically, it's more entertaining both visually, but also I can follow it. The male tennis is aggressive. You end up with a kink neck. Volleyball would definitely still exist. Softball, I'm guarantee softball.
You think cheerleading would exist?
It exists in our privatized professional football. Okay.
Is it privatized or do they?
It is not privatized. They do rob cities to do it, but it's still they rob cities by holding them hostage.
Right.
Just like the Raiders. The Raiders said, LA, build us a new stadium.
Or we're leaving.
And LA says, we've got rich Hollywood people and homeless, and we're already taking all we can from both of those. So how are we going to build you a new stadium? And Vegas said, hey, we got, high rollers here. And so they built it. Mm-hmm. So, and I think, and that is where I think it needs to come down to. The electorate needs to be more discerning in who they vote for. People who aren't going to prioritize having a flashy football team over keeping taxes reasonable.
Yeah.
Well, that's my 2 cents on the story.
But no, I agree with you.
There it is.
I think it's a novel idea. You did say a word in there that's going to get us canceled. And
which word was that?
Why do you want me
to? Did I say vaccine?
No, you did not.
Did I say COVID?
You said the T word.
Oh, trannies is a bad word now?
What's not?
First they took retarded from me, and now they take trannies. Gosh, I can't win out here.
They came for retarded, and I was quiet.
Transmission.
Yeah.
So.
But anyway, sorry, we interrupted you.
No, that's good. But so many people think that in Utah, Republican Party, they're great. And, we just got to put another R on the ballot and everything's going to be fine. And that's just not the case. And so with this bill here, for example, it passed, Governor Cox vetoed it, and then we had to do an override, and we actually got the override. But the reason we got the override was because we had the publicity now from the media that got involved, and the electorate now knew what was going on. And so they got involved, and the leadership of the Republican Party knew that they had to pass this too because it was the right thing to do. Whereas if the media had not got involved, this bill would not have passed, and we would have boys playing in girls sports in Utah so that is.
But can it go the other way? Can girls play in boys sports?
Yeah, probably.
They've always been able to. You have the WNBA and just the NBA. I promise you, any girl that can compete in that market, the NBA will let in. The NFL will let in.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, college football, they had, a female kicker this year or something, or 2 years ago.
I saw a female race car driver once.
There's a couple of those.
Yeah.
But that's, driving a race car, not to say it's not a physical activity. It just.
We had a neighbor that raced in Lake Point that was a race car driver, and she actually over there at was it Rocky Mountain Raceway?
Mm-hmm.
She crashed her car and died. So, but yeah, she was a great racer.
Oh man, was she drag racing?
Yeah, the drag race, the jet cars. Yeah.
Oh man, that's awful.
Yeah.
Here's to her.
Yeah. So anyway. Yeah, they raced there.
But so Cox did veto it. Then you guys went and overrid it. Cox, again, this is another thing where he probably almost knew that was going to happen. He just gets to pander to the Salt Lake City. The Salt Lake City, I don't like calling them rhinos because, let's face it, the party is what the members of the party are.
Yeah.
And so he gets to
play both sides, though.
Yeah, he gets to play both sides. He gets to drop his taint on that bar in the chain link fence and write it down.
Yeah.
And
a lot of them are doing that. And so many bills that don't get the publicity. So the most of us common citizens just don't know about if we're not up there and we're not paying attention, and they just overrides. In fact, you had that was it Chelsea on your show?
Yeah, Chelsea Hope. Yeah,
and she talked about a lot of that stuff.
Yep. Now try to lean so the mic's right in front of your mouth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
if you want to look at me, you just kind of,
okay. Yeah.
You can look at me too, Kirk.
Yeah.
Don't feel bad.
Yeah. Chelsea. Yeah. Chelsea's great.
Yeah. She talked about a lot of the, where they're putting certain things in one bill and certain things in another bill, and they get it just so they can get it passed without the media knowing some of the stuff they're working on.
Or even the debate of it on the floor.
Yeah.
I wish we could just make a bill to prevent that kind of crap.
Hey, I'm
from
telling
going
you,
on.
I want a bill that says no bill is longer than 25 pages, and inside of that 25 pages is the financial allotment to cover this bill.
Or you can just shorten that paragraph and say whoever votes on it has to read the bill.
Hey, that'd be great, but I still say it needs to be no more than 25 pages, because I think we need to have any average citizen be able to read it.
Yeah, and it has to be, and in fact, this is one of the bills that I have ready to go, is that, and it will also be one item on that bill.
Yep. Single item bills.
Single item. Yeah, you can't have.
Don't pork it up. If you ever go through, like, nationally, it's ridiculous. Like, they hide. Okay. One of the big things now, this is, don't quote me, anybody, and if you do, you know better. Stupid if you quote me, but the bill that they're moving all the illegal immigrants around, asylums, whatever you want to call them, around the nation with, was hidden inside the Protection of Women Act.
They do that all the time.
So it's legal.
Yeah.
It is legal, but you see a Protection of Women Act come across, like, yeah, I don't want to see dudes beat their old ladies. I agree with that. But there's like 4 other things hidden inside that bill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, let's say, Kirk, you said you have this bill ready to go if you get elected. Suppose you don't get elected. What about your adversary that you're running against? Would you reach out to him and say, hey, look, I got this bill, and it's a great idea?
Yeah, I will. In fact, and that's what I do all the time. I work with the Liberty Coalition members to present bills and to get them, present them, get them to committee, and then have them go on. So I've done this for a long time. That's another advantage that I have over my opponents, because they don't have any, as far as I know, they've never participated in the process, and I don't know that they have any bills or where they're going, what they're going to do when they get there. But I want to do that. I want to get rid of state income taxes, and
Give me a minute.
But what would you replace them with?
You can't just throw pornography out on this channel. This is a family-friendly show, Kirk.
If you got rid of income taxes, what would you replace it with? Higher gas taxes? Or?
No. So what we're going to do? So
less government.
That's a great stuff.
This is getting. There's a lot of X's.
Go play with your My Little Ponies.
A lot of X's.
So I start out by, our founding fathers set us up as individual states. We have 50 individual states, and with that in mind, each state has the right to try something new and to try different things. And if one state fails in one area, the rest of the states can keep going and rally around them, and they'll still, overcome that failure. And when they succeed, other states can also take those successes and implement them in their states.
50 Petri dishes.
Yeah. So what a great way to go. So right now there are 9 states that have no state income taxes. And in some of them states, when you file your taxes, you actually get a revenue check back from the state.
But those same exact states also charge more for like real estate tax.
Some of them. I
mean, they have to equal out somehow.
Well, no, a lot. So some of them have lotteries that fund them. Some have revenue from, like, Alaska and North Dakota, their oil reserves,
energy revenue.
Are you for a lottery system here in Utah?
Not necessarily. What I would like to do is create a state bank, a citizens-owned state bank, And there are also 9 states that have citizens banks. We would do it a little bit different than them, but a citizens bank is owned by the citizens. And the revenue that comes from the bank would then fund the state.
Don't they have Zion's Bank here though?
They do.
Isn't that like owned by the church?
I don't know. I think the church does have stock in it for sure, but I know that. So we presented this bill to the Republican Party 2 years ago, and showed them all the numbers and how it would work, and it would fund the state within 2 to 3 years is what the modules show. I say 3 to 5 because I'm a little more pessimistic.
Oh, and then that's also a bank we can keep ESG out of.
Yeah.
Because it's our
What
bank.
an awesome idea.
Yes.
Jesus. We're going to have to move this over to one of them illicit cable channels if we keep going.
I was going to start my own bank once. I don't know what happened to that idea.
You'll
I
find
should
this
bring
show
that
on
back up.
OnlyFans, gentlemen. Go on.
It's a great idea. So anyway,
It is.
This bank will
Yep.
create enough revenue to fund the state. And within, say, 5 years, you will be getting a check back from the state as well. It's not rocket science. It's not some new crazy idea. It's a bank's, everybody belongs to a bank. So, and so what's the benefits to, why would you want to join this bank if you already bank at, the credit union or Zion's Bank or wherever? If you join this bank, when you open a savings account in this bank, you will probably get around 2 to 3% interest instead of 0.01 or whatever you're getting right now.
We can control that.
Yeah.
We can mitigate inflation in the state. We can even make it so that the commission board of the bank is, partial or full elected officials. We can do a lot. We can do a lot where we put banking in control of the populace.
Imagine if all the records are public and they can be audited like a WikiLeaks type system.
Oh,
Anyone can go on there, look at them, and just, hey, there's an error there, and there might be some drug dealers over here using that from the cartel, and you should probably not do that. Or, there's some good ideas. That's probably one of the best ideas I've heard in a long time.
It's a great idea. And it's there's so many advantages. You will, like right now, if this bank was in existence, we would be getting loans to build homes at around 2 or 3% because we're not tied to the feds.
Mm-hmm.
So, we wouldn't have this problem because the bank makes its revenue more from lending the money than from the interest it's charged. So it's a no-brainer. It was presented to the Republican Party. They were all excited. It went through committee. All the numbers made sense. They killed it and didn't really say why. We believe because if you look at their contributions, most of them come from Zion's Bank. And,
well, and not just that, but even
Big
nationally,
business.
the party would probably work to kill it.
oh yeah,
The Republicans have always had an awkward relationship with the Federal Reserve.
yeah. And
Same with the Democrats. I should say the Republicans and the Democrats have strings that go to the fingers of the Federal Reserve.
yeah, and that's something that, so if we would have the Democrats take this, to the floor, it would be killed because just the animosity between the two parties, they're not going to, it has to come from an independent source, and that would be me. And when that's the first bill. And when I'm elected, I have the media behind me and I present that bill. And now I have the Liberty Coalition members of the House that would stand behind it because they would want this, and their leadership can't kill it because now it's public. And it's something that can very well happen in our state if it's done through this.
I mean, it sounds like a Republican idea, but you're going to have those core Republican rhino types that are going to try to kill it. But when they try to kill it, they also expose themselves for what they are.
Here's the fact of it is the Republican Party nationally gets a lot of its funding, and it's by design. Both parties do.
Oh yeah, they
get
do.
a majority of their funding through banks and subsidiaries of banks. I mean, just look at it. I'll bet BlackRock is the number one funder of party level, of national party level politics, just like they're the number one everything.
Yeah.
And they're the ones pushing ESG. So you'd be bucking against that, which, call me crazy. How would it be if we opened up a bank and even if our bank said we're going to stick with what is it, M2 and M3 money supply and restricted fractional reserve in our banking system, because that's, I don't know if anyone, I've talked about it on the show, but in March, we went away from the M2 and M3 money supply in the United States, which is, I mean, that's just another nail on the cross for this inflation thing. And what that means is they separated money in rotation. It used to be that the money in rotation and the money in savings were kept separate, and they had to be kept separate. This year they combined them. Yeah. And what that does is that just put more money in circulation.
Yeah, that they can squander. So yeah.
Yeah, and well, it jumps our inflation overnight, just something like that, because all the money that was in savings now got included into the circulation money, and that just pushed the numbers up, and it devalued the dollar all underneath it.
Yeah. So yeah, but that's kind of my number one push, and it's not like it's not some new crazy idea, because other states have done similar things. They just haven't implemented it the way that we would need to do it to fund our state. So
the other states that have done this don't do it to fund their state. They do it.
They just have banks. So they have state-owned banks, but they're still tied to the feds and and it's basically just like another bank in the state, but the state owns it. And they do make some revenue.
So it'd just be like what they have, it'd just be like the state super invests into a bank, changes its name from Bank of Ireland to Bank of Utah,
or Bank of Wyoming, I guess, or whatever. But they it's kind of more like they sponsor the bank, but the citizens don't own the bank. So
now, what kind of assault could the Federal Reserve put on that bank? Could they play regulatory or do different things?
No, because
to disclude them.
What we need to do is right now we have a law that says that if you open a bank, you have to tie it to the Federal Reserve, and so we need to change that law so that we can open this bank without being tied to the Federal Reserve.
How would we gain access to dollars then? Or would we make Utah money? That is illegal as far as I understand, but
no.
If we want to argue semantics, Congress can only make money,
now whose law states you have to be tied to the Federal Reserve? Is that a federal law or a state law?
It's a state law.
Okay. So it'd be interesting to see whose names are on that law.
I'd like to know the butthole who post 1913 said, let's push this through the Utah House.
Yeah, I don't know.
Did he do it on Christmas? Like the.
Yeah. So, but that's kind of the big push, and just like the girls' sports bill, it would never have gotten passed had it not been through the public being aware of it. And this is the way I can make the public aware of it. And, once they see, hey, I can have my taxes. So let me tell you, I was up at this, the state this last year. And when the legislators are up there in session, they're very busy. They're in on the floor or in committees, and they only have a small time in between where they can actually take questions and talk to people. And they'll post it, when they're going to be in their office, and you can go and ask questions. So I went to meet with the Senate leader of the House in his office, and they came in, him and the Senate and the House leader, and they said, "Kirk, what's your question?" And I said, "Here's my question." I said, people on fixed incomes are being squished on both ends. I said, the federal government comes along, inflates the money system, and then the state comes along and appraises their property taxes higher. And it gets to be where they have to decide whether they can afford their food or their medication or the home that took them 30 years to pay off. I said, you need to get rid of state property taxes on our seniors and on all people. Is pretty much unconstitutional.
Well,
anyway.
I mean, property rights. It's not like that's a cornerstone of a free.
Yeah. And this is what they told me. They said, this is going to sound heartless, but we need this cycle of life to happen where when seniors get older, they need to move out of their homes, in with their kids, or in a rest home, so that the young couples that are getting married now who want a place to stay and can't afford a new home can buy their homes and move into them.
Or they can just die quicker. If they just die a little quicker. Hey,
Cuomo had it right.
Yeah.
Cuomo
Moved to New York.
Right. Now, here's a question as a home builder. You used to see 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 800 square foot homes when I was a kid being built.
Yeah.
I propose that those aren't built anymore. One, because home prices are so high. They're all bought on bank loans. No bank is going to give a $150,000 home loan when 20% of that is immediately lost to the state. That's just too much leverage all at once. What do you think it is? Why they're not building these single family style homes anymore? Aside from defining single family home as 15,000 square feet, 8-car garage, and 32 bedrooms, and a swimming pool in the back, because that seems to be what the modern day single family home is. But
yeah, I don't know. I've just kind of been told that the land values are so high that your land value, now to buy it in Salt Lake, you try to buy a lot for under $250,000 for the dirt, and that's, that's hard to find right now. And even out here in Tooele area, to buy a small, I just built 2 homes in Grantsville on small lots. The cheapest lots I could find were $115,000. And so
just for the dirt.
And so then they want your home to be 2 times at least higher than that. So, now you're $400,000 just for a little starter home.
So they're technically, I don't care what anyone says, that's not a starter home.
Yeah.
It is nowadays, Jared. Inflation, man.
But it's not.
You're old. And back then the dollar could buy.
I would honestly say you can't call it a starter home if it's over, let's say, 3 years' wage.
Yeah, I don't know how.
That'd be my argument. But now we're looking at $400,000 for the average starting wage at $50,000 a year. That's 4 years dedicated wage.
And I don't know, it's really hard to build a house.
8 years dedicated wage.
Yeah.
It's a whole life, Jared. Come on. Are we ever going to pay our houses off? No.
Well, don't pay it off. At least when you don't pay it off, your property taxes are in escrow.
Yeah.
when you pay it off, you got to
pay.
You got to fondle the state all by yourself.
Yeah.
You probably go on a list where they're like, oh, well, this guy, he's ready to have someone trip over his sidewalk so we can take his house.
Oh, dude, I'm going to turn 60 and I'm going to get a new mortgage. I'm going to go and re-up it.
Well, my goal is to be in debt when I die.
And they're going to say, do you want any money back? I'm like, no, I don't need that. I just want you to kick this out another 30 years, you know?
Yeah.
And then when I do finally kill over, I'm going to have it written in my will. Alex, my son, you get this house as long as you go get a mortgage on it immediately. Never pay it off.
Well, that's
not that it matters. I mean, nuclear war's next week. So
yeah. Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. So
how long you been at this, Kirk? How long have you been into politics?
It's been at least 25 years. So what got me started was I started my own construction company in 1985. And, the first few years I did all my book work and everything. And as I got busier and started to make more money and just so many government rules and regulations, filing all your quarterly taxes on time and stuff, I started checking around and I found an accountant and some of my friends recommended, and her name was Mike and Powell. And so I would go take my taxes to her every quarter and I would complain about how much money I had to spend in taxes. And she started teaching me about the founding fathers, and she had, I would call a photographic memory, but she would tell me stories of the Constitution, the founding fathers, and why things happened and how they happened. And I just became just really intrigued with that, and I just couldn't get enough. So I just kept studying and reading. And I guess I'm kind of the person where if I see a problem, I need to fix it. And either I fix it, or if it's beyond my control, then I just got to move on and do something else. And so I didn't want to pay all these taxes, started trying to figure out why I was paying all these taxes. And I learned some things of why some of the things I thought maybe were not good. I thought they weren't good, and I found out they were good, and vice versa, and just opened my eyes, and I just got involved from there. So,
have you supported any particular politicians before? Helped them campaign, or maybe gave them some advice on legislation?
Yeah, I have. I remember helping Rob Bishop run his campaign, and really pushed hard out here in Twilla. In fact, I think that I helped him get the vote from Twilla because of all the things I did and the people that I was connected to. And I really liked Rob Bishop, the first term or two he was in office. But when I'm not for NAFTA and CAFTA and all those, entangling alliances that we have. And when they were trying to expand NAFTA to CAFTA, to include, national free trade with the Americas to include Canada, I talked to Rob Bishop and I told him, don't vote for this bill. And he said, oh, I'm not going to vote for it. And I know several people that called Rob, and all of our congressmen, but Rob was mine. And, we were just trying so hard not to get CAFTA passed. And I can't remember all of our representatives at that time, but I know there were two of them at least. Maybe Rob was the only one that said he wouldn't vote for it. And, we talked, Rob knew me by name. We talked on the phone, sometimes for a half hour at a time. So, we went over all the reasons why not to vote for it. And when they took the vote, it was the same thing. It was in the middle of the night. I stayed up and was watching it till about 11. I went to bed. They kept tabling and different things. And got up in the morning and checked, and CAFTA passed, and it passed by 1 vote, and Rob Bishop voted for it. I was heartbroken.
What did you say to him?
So I called him up and I said, Rob, what happened? And he started talking to me. Well, Kirk, I had to vote for it because of this. I said, Rob, we already talked about that, and he kind of went on for about 5-10 minutes, and I just felt kind of heartbroken about it. I just sick, and finally, he gave me all his excuses, and I said, Rob, you went over all them. You're the one that told me that you wouldn't vote for it for those very reasons, and now you did it. And he said, Kirk, you have no idea the pressure that they put on you here in Congress. And I said, Rob, if you can't handle it, then you need to get out.
I don't know. I happen to think that having invertebrate animals as a part of the human race and all of them being in government is a good thing.
Yeah. So that was my big push, I guess. And
did they threaten his life?
I don't know. He never told me what. He just said that, the pressure they put on him.
Well, it could just be simply as the party comes down and says, if you're going to try to run again, the party's going to bang you out.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't like political parties at all.
Yeah.
And we weren't supposed to have them here. It's not like they didn't appear immediately, but, we were warned against them.
Just the next day.
Yeah. The next day, you think they waited that long?
Oh, the ink wasn't even wet on the Constitution. I know.
Man, the Federalists and Anti-Federalists kicked out right the gate. And then the Democrat Party shows up. Well, the Whigs always kind of hung out for wings because they were brought over from England. And then the Democrat Party's born under Jackson. And
yeah,
that's one thing about being a politician most people don't realize. Look, if you're going to get a slot in the United States Constitution, in the United States Congress or Senate, your life is going to be threatened constantly. And if you got kids and a wife that can't handle it, you probably shouldn't run. And I'll be honest, all these people are always wanting, I have this big Mormon family. That's a target.
I'll be honest, though. I don't want anyone in government that doesn't have kids.
Why?
Because they don't have long view. They don't have to consider the next generation in any of their dreams.
That's not true, Jared.
I don't know. I beg to differ. Look at our current system.
I would argue the exact opposite because your kids are so easy to kidnap or threaten, and they are liability.
I mean, right now, you're correct. Maybe they would hoist the burden onto the very next generation, where right now we try to shoot 7 or 8 generations down the road to pay our bills that we're making right now.
Yeah, we're at least 4 generations down the road already.
Look at all of our worst politicians that have the worst ideas, almost universally unmarried and childless.
I would probably say that maybe you could find a few that have the best ideas that are unmarried and childless, because you can't talk about the best ideas and have that kind of liability over your shoulder.
The Green New Deal is born out of unmarried and childless.
I don't know. I don't know that. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to worry about having a target on you, yeah, you probably shouldn't get involved. But I mean, there's so many people out there who stand up and aren't afraid to say what they want to say. And I think, if you're out there in the public, if you get known well enough, they have a hard time getting rid of you because I don't know.
I would hope so. And thankfully, the Republican Party chair is a friend of the show and a good, well-meaning person. And I don't know if in the county level, I don't know if the party in the county has done any bad stuff, but on the state level, it sounds like they, I can almost guarantee that's where the pressure came from. I can almost guarantee that the Republican Party called Rep Bishop up and said, here's the deal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it came from his own party.
Which is how it goes. I mean, how do you think Nancy Pelosi gets AOC to get into lockstep?
Yeah.
She talks to her, and then as soon as AOC gets back to her office, the party calls up and says, hey, how would you like to have a negative campaign next go around?
Yeah. Well, and I don't know if you remember Merrill Nelson when he was a congressman, but he actually stood up against free trade deals. And
I would go so far as to say he leans a little left. Just saying.
Merrill?
A little.
Even if he does, I mean,
at least his personality is directed in that direction.
But he was because he stood up against the free trade deals. They decided they were going to get rid of him, and they brought in who replaced him now? I can't remember. Was it John Curtis?
I don't know if it was the party that. No, Merrill Nelson was never in Congress.
No, he elected to Congress. He served one term, and as a Republican.
Really? No kidding.
Yeah, and then he was it? I think it was the most favored nation trade thing that they were pushing, and actually, the party was pushing for it. The LDS Church was pushing for it, and Merrill said, "No, I'm not doing it." And he didn't vote for it, and they said that we're going to get you out of there. And they did. They got him out of there, and they kind of made Merrill Nelson look like kind of a laughing stock or whatever. And Merrill tried to run independent once too, and I think what they did at that time is they used that and said, look, if you don't vote this way, you'll be Merrill Nelson in the next election.
Yeah. You're out.
Yeah.
You're out.
I don't know. He does it to himself.
Yeah.
I mean, just ask my wife.
Well, that was specifically about naming the Mid-Valley Highway.
Tell you what, man. I mean, it's a good litmus test. It's a great litmus test.
Hold
you piss
on.
her off.
Okay. I read his argument, and while I don't agree, I don't think that that's a left argument.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Hey, we're all entitled to our opinions, Jerry.
Well, I don't know. Explain how that would be a left-wing argument to not want to socialize the name of a thing and to leave it open. Sounds like that would be more of a right argument. Honestly, I think we should sell the names of the streets, make a little revenue that way.
That's a good idea.
That is a good idea.
I know. So that what's his name in New York? The black guy runs for governor of New York all the time. And if I could remember one name once in a while, it'd be great. Anyways, he wants to sell the name of bridges.
Yeah.
Vivint, bridge, and United Airlines train rail bridge, whatever. Sell those to make revenue for New York State.
Yeah.
That is a good idea.
That is a good idea.
But we should do that out here. We should start actually not socializing every turn we make.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a great idea.
But hey, if we are going to socialize every turn we make, naming our roads after soldiers that give their lives
sure
is a lot better than naming it after George Floyd or something.
Yeah.
Shit like
sure. I completely agree. I don't know. I like the way the Mormons initially put it. You pop a number on that bad boy, call it a day.
Yeah.
It's this many yards from the center of town in this direction.
Yeah.
Period.
Because now you get an ad, 34 Cherry Street.
Yep.
I don't know if 34 is north, south, west, east.
Yep.
Or even if it's just 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yep.
So yeah, it's hard to
Yeah.
find.
The Mormons had it right in the beginning. Went all lockstep.
I don't know if we said that, but so if if you elect a junior Republican in the state this time, so what they're going to do is they're going to put him in a committee, and they're going to groom him for at least 2 years to see how he will act and how he'll vote in the committee. And so when a bill gets presented, it goes to the committee, the education, the finance, whatever committee it goes to. That bill goes there. There's 15 representatives or so in there. They're going to hash it out, say, yeah, we like it, or kick it out, or let's change it. And then it goes to the floor. When it goes to the floor, it's crunch time. And when it goes to the floor, they give each party 15 minutes to speak for or against it. In that 15 minutes, they're going to put usually their 3 best representatives to speak for it. And they're not going to give that time. They're not going to give 5 minutes to a junior Republican on the floor. They're just not going to do it, because if it passes the floor, the governor signs it, it becomes law. So
let me ask you a question. So let's say there's a vote in there and you win and you're Constitution Party. Does the Constitution Party also get
full
the
15 minutes?
So then instead of a 30-minute argument that we commonly get now, it'd be extended to a 45 minute if it's something you want to argue for or against.
So you would be like a very valuable pivot piece right in that.
You'd be the hinge.
Legislation.
Yeah. I get to speak on every bill.
And quite honest, probably.
And I get to assign myself to whichever committees I want to be in, which I will assign myself to every committee, and I will attend the ones that I need to attend according to what bills are in there. So
you'd jump into committee if something important is in there. And if, the committee on roads is talking about, how much slurry to put in their mix, you can ignore that one, because that should be done scientifically and not in committee.
You get to groom yourself.
Yeah, and I don't have to wait. I don't have to wait for the House leader to tell me when I can speak. I don't have to wait for him to assign me to a committee and tell me which committee I'm in. I get to pick all the committees and go to the committees. That's huge power.
And you'll be probably, you're going to have cauliflower ear after the first year for all the phone calls, because you'll be the most popular contact point for everyone.
Yeah, and
because you get dominance. People will be trying to convince you of everything.
Yeah, and I will get to speak where the parties are trying to keep things quiet and not let it come to the floor. I'll at least get to say, hey, no, we don't want our kids medicated without parental approval in the schools. So you're putting that in the bill. We're not doing that. I mean, I at least get to say that, whereas now they just hide it and it doesn't come up because the 3 they're picking to speak about it aren't going to bring it up.
Now, couldn't you just run on the Republican Party ticket and then switch parties when you get elected?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
That sounds shady.
Are you kidding? I think that would be hilarious.
Yeah, but that sounds shady. To have all the people vote for you.
Let me be your advisor.
That'd be like, say I'm running. I'm going to go run in New York, and I'm going to say everyone gets a unicorn and a pony, and nobody under 5 years old will be the gender they're born with. All to get their votes, and then come out and twirl my mustache afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
That'd be shady. That's I say. That would be a betrayal of the electorate.
Nah, it's for their own good.
Yeah,
they just don't. They don't know about that stuff. They're
that's right.
Peasants.
Yeah.
What would you have to do to switch parties? Because there was that guy that switched parties from Democrat to Republican in Trump's first year. What was his name? I think he was in Pennsylvania.
Does sound familiar, but I don't.
Trump switched parties. I mean,
it was a big to do. What? He didn't switch parties after he was in office. This guy actually switched parties while he held office, and I think he was in the Senate. And
it does sound kind of familiar.
He switched parties midway through his term.
Good for him.
Like on year 4 or something. Also, I think he switched parties because his district got hit hard and had become a Republican dominant district, which I'm actually kind of okay with. You know, if I'm chosen to represent, say, Tooele, and I get elected in Tooele's ideals, and halfway through Tooele changes, I think I'm responsible to still represent Tooele, not force my old views on Tooele. I'm a representative, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a long and detailed question to ask, because if someone runs, are they running as them, or are they running as, what do you think? Tell me what you think, and I'll just represent that idea. I think when you run, you're supposed to run on what you are and who you are.
Well, yeah. And then the people say, those ideas represent me.
Yeah. So the people,
Yes.
yeah, that's why the people should vote.
But
for
I
it.
still think as a representative, you carry on a duty to represent.
I mean, if it was,
If we keep going down that path, we may as well just have rulers.
I think you should represent. You, to me, I want to represent the law,
Well,
and the laws of
I
the
agree
Constitution.
within
So
the Constitution and everything else. But let's say, remember everyone, we've got one standard rule. But let's say I'm in there and Tooele changes to a point where I cannot with good conscience represent him. Then I would step down.
yeah, well, yeah, and technically though, you would probably be voted out because they.
Yeah, but I would be voted out before I would step down before that. I'd be
Yeah.
like, Tooele would say, hey, we want this to be done and we want that. And I'd say, I can't do that. I'm sorry. I'm going to step down, hold a special election, whatever, you know, whatever you want. But I can't in good conscience represent you, but I'm also not your ruler.
And that's one of the things I would say to constituents that came to me. If they want me to promote something, you've got to show me in the law where I have the constitutional right to do it. I don't want to deal with emotions.
I think we've passed that a long time ago.
Yeah, but that's
I don't know. I don't know if you recognize that, but constitutions like yonder, and we got all this going on over here.
Yeah. So, but that's where I would stand.
No, I'm with you. Yeah. But I still, I mean, I like the idea of if I'm chosen to be a representative in a Republican form of government, I think it's my duty to be a representative.
Yeah, represent. And well, and that goes along a little bit, I think, with all the gerrymandering that they do in our state, because like my area.
Oh, wait, I've got the option to have them rewrite the
Well, they
district.
do.
So
Yeah, they just did.
All right, never mind.
Yeah. But
I'll stay in forever.
I come down Lake
Give me
Point,
that crayon.
a little bit of Stansbury, just the highway down. And then, around Stansbury, I got Grantsville out to Stockton, and then clear out to Wendover and down south, and Delta and Millard and all that all those places too in Juab County. And then you got Tooele and Stansbury in its own district. And see, Tooele, you know this, they used to be for years, they were Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
Very democratic. And so what they did,
Of course, Democrats were a different animal.
oh yeah, it was
back
a whole different, different thing back then. But what they did is they took Stansbury Park and they joined it with West Valley City. And the idea was that if all of Stansbury Park votes Democrat, West Valley would still choose the Republican senator. And that's, so now you have Stansbury tied with West Valley, but it was done back then to break it up. And to me, if an area wants to be Democratic or Republican or whatever, that should be, you don't break up the area and put a chunk here and chunk up in Brigham City and whatever, just so you can gerrymander and get your votes.
Actually, yes, they do. I think.
I represent
They do.
Stockton and Hurricane.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's, I mean, and the Republicans control the state, and so that's what they do.
I would honestly, I think the Democrat Party would be a lot saner party if local Democrats here were selecting the national or even regional Democrat Party, because let's face it, the Democrat Party doing great.
Yeah,
we're doing great. Yeah. Well, I mean, World War III, inflation, collapse of society.
Afghanistan,
doing great.
Yeah,
we're on par.
As they say, what did Fetterman say? Kicking balls in the authority.
Yeah. No, what was who was it? Gosh, there was a representative last week that said, and I quote, "I will never stop standing up for big pharma and against my constituents." And that was the thing that played out. Now, I think she was trying to say that's what my competitor says. But she's a Democrat, which I would say the last couple of years proved that the Democrats have an awful lot of support for big pharma. But she said that out loud, and that's a clip that you never want to say something that dumb. Never.
That'll be edited and re-edited over and over.
That's up there beyond telling kids to wipe back to front. That is just as bad a clip as you can put out there for yourself.
But hey, I'm sure Big Pharma loves it. They'll be dumping money on that candidate.
They might. I don't know. I'd like to dig into it more. I think she was trying to say that that's what her opponent says. But one, I don't think she had a clear mic up to that point. So any of that previous got lost. And then the mic became crystal clear for that, series of 10 words. That's awful. Burned.
Yeah.
No, I like that idea of the Constitution Party gets to be a hinge point, a base for sanity.
Tooele would have actual legislation power.
Whoa.
Being up there on the state hill, if we could speak 15 minutes for everything.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, think of the power we would have in Tooele.
Not just
if we could speak.
Not just that, but I mean,
and you seem like a pretty freedom orientated guy. I like what you're saying. A bank, a citizens bank.
I know.
Blow my mind.
I know.
Free of federal funds. So, when the Fed says, hey, you need to implement this in your schools, we don't need to. We're fine without it. So
that's right. Take your trannies and go home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Twice in one show. Man.
Cut that up, Jared.
I wonder if they'll let us on to OnlyFans with you keep saying that.
But yeah, power to have a voice on the floor, power to represent, and to be able to free our state from federal funds is just it's stuff that's not going to happen if we just stay in the rut of the two-party system.
It's fun to fantasize about.
Not just that. You get that floor time to get down there and talk positive about a state bank and what it would do for your property taxes and what would it do. And yeah, I'm sure the average media will turn their cameras conveniently towards like the door of the men's room and kill the mic or something. But that doesn't mean that one of us can't stand in there with the cell phone and just put you live out there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because things like that are important, and even get the message out. And then, hey, you guys know your rep's number. If you like what I said tonight, give them a call. And
I anticipate some of them actually, getting up and trying to walk out. And during that time, I will be naming their names. Representative is now leaving. Your representative is leaving.
See you later.
Yeah. So
I love lists.
I dig it. Well, and another thing, and this is something we really need, is we need to, I know they do post it, but we need to become clear. And I've been talking with someone about doing something like this, become clear on bills that are on the floor. And then afterwards, we need the vote count. People need to go and say, what did my rep vote for on this?
Yeah. And yeah, it has to be a roll call vote.
I mean, we did that with Merrill Nelson when he voted against HB 60.
Mm-hmm.
We did that a lot, and we continue to do that.
HB 60, that was the
my ability to carry a firearm wherever I want, however I want, without anybody having to tell me how to.
Oh, that was the constitutional carry. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I wish we could have got him on the show because Doug Sagers was against it till he came on our show.
Yep.
And all it is you get him face to face and you say, look at the rest of the nation where they've instituted it. You've got Arizona, Wyoming. I think Arizona kicked it off. Vermont never had it, and it has always been traditionally at the bottom of the murder ratio in the nation.
Well, just to reconstruct the thought process that the individual's going through when he votes no on something like that.
Well, they had probably never even heard an argument against it. They'd probably never heard an argument that said constitutional carry's good, and here's why. Because let's face it, I mean, right now, reps we have now that carry Tim Jimenez. Full stop. I'm sure that's the number.
Maybe I'm just so feral that I can't conceive of a world where I don't have an AK strapped to my back or something. I don't know. I mean, it's been a long time in the military. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm different, but
no, but we're not comparing this to ourselves in our thought process. We got to put ourselves in the person who's voting process. They probably never heard that argument before.
Well, and they're probably not giving it because they're not.
Yeah. Doug had never heard it before he came on this show, and we gave it to him.
Well, the fact that you need it kind of makes me disappointed.
Yeah. Lots of people need lots of arguments. I just had to argue you out of socializing naming roads and making it a free market system.
No, you just had to say we're going to sell it. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, make money.
It's free market. Larry Sharp is the guy's name. Shout out.
Oh, Larry Sharp.
Larry Sharp.
Smart guy.
Dude.
Former Marine, too. I'm surprised because usually they like to color.
Well, he was one of those excellent Marines. Excellent. But yeah, no, I like that. I would love to see that there is a hinge argument on the floor. So we can't get, because let's face it, we get railroaded a lot by government. But the most railroading we get by government is when both parties join up together to get us. And to have a hinge argument on the floor, to argue against it. And then all you got to do is, we've got a group of people. I know of 3 people. You call out and you say, hey, I've got an argument coming up right now and I need it. I need publicity on this. One of us 3 will show up on the floor, phone out, put it out live.
Yeah. And what's the worst case scenario? If I don't get elected, you get another Republican. And that is the worst case scenario. But I mean, it's.
Well, you said there's a Democrat running. I mean, no one knows his name and everything. You said his name, I think, but.
Yeah, it's Chris Dreyer. But,
but he's not putting any effort into it.
No, he said he's the sacrificial lamb. He was going to take
take one for the team.
Yeah. And so he's not doing anything. He's just there so they have a name.
Imagine that Tooele, that district county, that district party meeting, the Democrat party, all 5 of them are sitting in one room. And they've got one of them lottery ball rollers with 5 balls in it and names on it. It's you.
It's you.
Hey, Chris, you can come on the show.
Well, he's saying he's not putting any effort into it. We need to get more Democrats on the show.
We do.
Yeah.
I've got to quit picking on Democrats too.
Well,
I
they pick on us.
met him. He's a great guy, So
Yeah, they are, but they've got to quit trying to say the answer to every one of my problems is the government. One, government has never fixed anything.
Yeah.
Ever. Government turns gold into shit, and that is all it does.
Yeah. So that's.
But yeah, Kirk, thanks for coming on. I've got my ballot sitting on my table right now, and the boys downstairs have their ballots on the table as well.
Mine's probably in the mailbox.
So it is voting season, and this kind of last minute. I know a lot of people kind of in protest are still carrying on that in-person voting, and I appreciate that. I recognize why they want to do that, and I appreciate that, and everyone knows I don't vote very often, and I don't know if I've changed my mind on this go around, but it is voting time. Dig through the candidates. You guys have heard Kirk now. We've had Eric on. The Democrat, what was his name again?
Chris Dreyer.
Chris Dreyer, please come on. We'll bring you on tomorrow. Just a last minute hoorah. The big thing is we want you guys to know who's running, what they're about, and get them on there, get it running.
I don't think there's another county out here in Utah that does what we do. We get our local politicians to come on the show, introduce themselves, give out their ideas, and I think that's pretty valuable. I think we provide quite the service, and I hope people are taking advantage of learning who the candidates are instead of just randomly pulling that lever.
It's as dry as a popcorn fart 98% of the time. We recognize this.
Yeah.
Politics is a muddled, boring business, but it's important.
I think, if people don't understand the consequences of the election, just from this last election cycle.
Oh, don't worry. Your great grandkids will.
Yeah.
Actually, no, World War III. Well, recognize it.
Hey, your other option is a dictatorship.
What do you think? Tuesday is that? We should start a pool. When's
the first nuke launch?
Gosh, do we want to go nuke launched or? Because we can't say, when does World War III start? Because it started. When does U.S. get engaged? Because apparently that's going on. Without open congressional authorization.
When do we conscript our young children into the military?
We could do a draft Deadpool. When does the draft start? Do it by date. If we get enough people in, we'll have to break it down by hour. Everyone in $5, winner. We'll make sure we report it to the IRS so we can pay taxes on our winnings.
Yeah.
Do you think they reach out to like Africa and South America for mercenaries before they conscript young boys and girls of the American flag?
Oh, that's a tough one. Should we start a U.S. Foreign Legion? So we just start our own mercenary group like France did.
Maybe that's why they're bringing all the illegals here.
Hey,
maybe they got something.
Are we putting money on that one, or
no?
I would say it's for Democrat votes. I'm just saying.
Hey, little column A, a lot of column B, saves the Social Security system, which is, the population collapse is going to bite us clean in the butt. Now, Cuomo did a lot to help that out. He actually, took some
cleaned out some of those old folk.
Took some pensioners off the docket, bring in the illegals to backfill it. Really, it turns back into the Ponzi pyramid it's designed to be, and not the
right. What did they call that, Kirk? The cycle of life? Is that how they referred to it?
Yeah. The
with the Lion King theme song in the back.
That was the Republican Party leadership said that to you.
Yeah, that's what they.
Are they going to move out of their homes?
That's what,
when the time comes, or is that just for us poors?
This is just
for us peasants. us,
Yeah.
you know,
The lizard people will be just fine.
that's
don't
right.
worry.
In our modern day feudal system.
Yeah. I mean, that cycle of life is going to happen naturally, and you're going to force people out of their homes early or, you know, whatever reason.
People bought homes because that was their retirement plan.
Yeah.
That was like that. That's the foundation of their retirement plan. I have a secure place to live, a place that doesn't get interrupted. It's, you know, it's mine. It's safe. It's where the grandkids come. It's where I have, you know, Sunday dinners. And the Republican Party, everyone swallow on this. The Republican Family Values Party leadership said, cycle of life, we want them to move into old folks' homes or back in with their kids.
Yeah. So the young people can have a place to move in.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. Straight out of their mouth. So
It's a clever idea. I mean, I guess it works.
Yeah, clever. I mean, just like starting like a cultural revolution in, say, the 1950s and killing 80 million people. Clever. It's ingenious, really.
yeah, it's,
Next, they're going to want to buy up all the farmland or put vaccines in us or something.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Oops. I said that.
Yeah.
Might as well say trannies again.
Oh, goodness. Well, anyways, Kirk, thanks for coming on. I like it. If anyone wants to reach out to Kirk, go to, let me pull this back up, www.kirk, that's KIRK, the number 4 Utah.com. Go there and check it out. You know, read his message. You guys heard him here today, heard what his argument is. Democrat guy, please come on. Give us a call. We'll bring you on tomorrow night. You know, get your message out before, I guess, all the ballots are in the mailboxes. Or I mean,
We'll even give you free beer.
Yeah. Just don't bring this crap again.
You didn't like it?
God, no. This is
Oh
flat.
my
and
God,
awful.
this stuff is chewy.
This is flat and awful. It's sweet. They need to put a hop, like in the adjacent room, at least just a hop. It could have used. Honestly, I wanted to put black pepper in it. It's too sweet. Anyways, Democrat, if we got any Green Party people, Progressive Party, what other parties are there? I don't know. Whatever. You know, there's still a Whig Party in the United States,
Just not in Tooele.
or in any elected office, but there's still a Whig Party in the United States. And, you know, but we need to have, you know, anybody, if you're running, if you got a message, please come on. Cause, I think the only way we can, I mean, the best republic is an educated republic, at least knowing who they've got representing them. So,
yeah.
Again, Kirk, thanks for coming on. It's a
Okay,
good show.
thank you.
Good chat. And you're welcome back on anytime. Just reach out,
Okay.
you know,
We'll do it.
just,
Good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah,
you.
you got my info and that. Just reach out and we'll bring you back on.
Okay. Sounds
Even if
good.
you see something, you know, coming through the pipeline that you need to get the message out, please reach out,
Okay.
because we definitely need to do that. All right, Constitution Party, Kirk Pearson. We will see you guys hopefully tomorrow with the Democrat guy. If not, probably next week or something.